Okay, so Baruch Hashem, today we have Yedidyah with us. Yedidyah, thank you very much for joining us and taking the time, sharing your story with us here on the podcast tonight. I really appreciate your time. If you don't mind, can you tell us a little more about yourself and, what your life was like before you did tshuva and, kind of those kind of details, please?
Hi, Sani. Thank you for having me on the show. Basically, my father's a rabbi, and I was always religious, and I come from a religious family. However, teshuvah applies for everyone. There's always higher levels that you want to get to, and basically we're always, getting closer. Our goal as Jews, we have to get closer to Hashem, and basically to our level. Even the biggest rabbi also has to get closer to Hashem, to his level. So this is basically my background. I have 5 brothers. 5 brothers, 1 sister.
So what's like the story with you? Were you religious from birth, or did you become religious at a certain point? Did something happen in your life that caused you to be religious? Or, everyone has their own story, so.
So I was always religious, but let's say before, when I was younger, let's say around 17, 18, I wasn't really learning. And I started listening to shiurim of Rabbi Rabbi Ruben, and also of my father. And I got more. I was working. My father wrote a book. It's called Ben Porat Yosef, and I was helping him with editing and everything. So it also helped me to get more serious with learning. And from then on, I've been trying to do more and more learning every day.
You're born religious. You started listening to Rabbi Mizrahi and Rabbi Ruben and your dad, and Baruch Hashem, that's a very cool project that you and your dad did. Baruch Hashem, very cool. It's always good to add more Torah to the world, How did you discover Rabbi Ruben and the organization?
Yeah, so basically I was around 18 years old, and I was on Facebook, and I was looking up shiurim. I started off with Rabbi Mizrahi, and then I saw some shiurim of Rabbi Ruben, and I really liked the way that he presented things, and he was very honest, and also had like a personal, I would say, personal relationship with him, because when I had questions, anything that was, bothering me, he would answer me, and he would be there for me. And we're talking now maybe 7 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, because Ruben was more, I guess, accessible. But even some questions, because basically I got married around 6 years ago. And, before you get married, the Yitzhak always comes in. And I was going through a very difficult time. And, I called Rabbi Mizrahi, and I was speaking with Rabbi Ruben. And at 3 a.m., I was 21. And at 3 a.m., he answered the phone, and he went through an hour from 3 to 4 a.m. No one knows about this. Very few people know actually about this. And basically, I told him the whole situation. I told him, what should I do? And, it's always good to get guidance, get advice, what direction you should take, and especially with different relatives, family members, and it's a big decision. You need to get married and doing all those things. And Baruch Hashem, for an hour he was telling me, to get married, and I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be happy as long as I have the right intention. L'shem shamayim, you're getting married to build a family, to get close to Hashem, to bring children to the world who will learn Torah and mitzvot. So basically, this is the goal of why you're getting married. So if you have all the right intentions, then why shouldn't it work? So all the right intentions, and then you get the proper guidance. And Baruch Hashem, we got married, and now I've been married 6 years. And I had a rough path. It was pretty rough, even a little bit during the marriage with some family members. But Ruben told me, don't worry, when you're gonna have kids, everything will come. When the kids, like my father told me, when you have kids, it brings the bracha in the house. So Baruch Hashem, everything, settled down, and everything became, much better with time and with the kids, and even with those people that I wasn't so, I guess, that I had problems with, I was able to get to, much better terms now. So Baruch Hashem, it took time, but it was very good advice that he gave me. And I'll never forget, I'm always going to be grateful to Rabbi Ruben, because he's always, I was 21, no money, I'm not the one important, nothing special. And, to spend his time 3 a.m. And, it was, even though it was 8 years ago, so still early compared to how Rabbi Ruben is big now with all the different organization and everything. But even then, he had lots of questions from everyone, phone calls, so just the fact that he took the time, I always remember. And then also many times I asked him questions and he was there for me. And he also asked big poskim. So I think, this is it was a tremendous act of Ahavat Israel and devotion, And, I'll tell you something very interesting that I went to a show the other day, and there was this nice man, very nice man. He's like 65 years old. And I was speaking with him, and I was telling him about some family members. I told him, my family members, they don't owe me anything. They don't have to do anything for me. He said, no, you're wrong. They have to do. Everyone, a Jew has to help another Jew. It's not, you're not doing anyone a favor. You have you have another Jew in trouble, you have money, you need some money to pay rent, you pay him the rent. It's not, you're not going to be, you're going to be the, the big shot here and you're going to be the nice guy. No, this is your obligation from the Torah. Right? So, I see also with Rabbi Ruben, he took it as this Ahavat Israel, as like an obligation, as a Mishud Nefesh, but it's like how do I say this properly? It's more like a duty, because I was gonna say, he doesn't owe me anything, but every Jew, we all owe each other, we're all connected to each other, we all have to help each other. So, but anyways, I want to say I have a tremendous hakarat tov for his help. When you're in a dark time and you don't know what to do, and it seems like all the doors are closing on you. So, Baruch Hashem, it was great to have someone I can count on, and also someone I can tell the whole story to, because you're not comfortable to just speak to anyone, and also you feel alone. So, Baruch Hashem, this is something I will not forget. And Baruch Hashem, when I was in Florida with my wife, we went to one of his shiurim. It was actually about on the Rambam, about the 24. It was on Ilchot Teshuvah, on who has in the world to come, etc. And Baruch Hashem, it was great and great Torah, great learning, and great inspiration.
Baruch Hashem, very cool, very cool. It's definitely very important to love the Jews like ourselves. It's one of the first things we say when we start praying every day in Shachrit. Why was Rabbi Ruben the first person that you asked, or was he the first person? Why did you ask Rabbi Ruben guidance for your life?
I asked him guidance because I thought that, first of all, Rabbi Ruben was a man of he has a lot of experience. I know with Rabbi Chaim, he brought a lot of people to convert, to get married. He's also married many years, and he was very accessible. He's on Facebook, he sent them a message, there's a WhatsApp. So it was very easy to be able to have this connection with him, and I guess with time it made it that through listening to Shurim, and with time it made it that I felt comfortable he made me comfortable, to ask any questions. And whenever, for example, I asked him once a question about the tefillah. So the whole question in Gemara and Rosh Hashanah, if we're judged during Rosh Hashanah, what is the point of praying? So there's it's a whole big sugya. And so I asked him a question, and he took the time and he answered. And even at another time I had to go to court, and it was something I really didn't want to do, but I had to go to court once, and then he also advised me, what to do. And Baruch Hashem, it's always good to seek guidance. And even, I learned Baruch Hashem, and I'm in Kollel, I'm in the mornings. I learned in Kollel in the mornings, but when you're in the situation, back in the days I wasn't learning in Kollel, but when you're in the situation, it's hard to be objective. When someone's outside of it, it's easier to be objective. And then also the fact that I live in Montreal, he lives in Miami, so we spoke about personal things, but it wasn't like Rabbi I'm going to see every day, or let's say be embarrassed of the things I'm going to say to him, or it's going to have, let's say, bad consequences that will come out of it. So I think there's also this advantage of being able to speak freely without feeling judged or something like that also helps a lot.
And are you still in contact with him? Do you still talk to him as much as you used to?
From time to time, I listen to his shiurim. I get some clips, but not as much as before. But Baruch Hashem, I'm sure that if I need anything, and also the Rav needs anything, the But I'm there for him, and I'm sure he's there for me. And I support Bezat Hashem and the great work that they do. In the community here, there's a distribution of the pamphlets of Rabbi Victor Miller in many synagogues and many places, and I try to help a little bit with that, with the distribution. And it's a tremendous, like if we see the Torah, we see the tremendous some people think that Tochacha, they're going to think about rabbis like Rabbi Ruben, Rabbi Mizrahi. They're going to think because once Rabbi Mizrahi came and the Rav, when he was presenting him, he said Rabbi Mizrahi, he presents things very sharp, but this is how he was presenting the Rav. So then the Rabbi Mizrahi, when he got up, he said, this is all it's not true. I'm saying the verse from the Torah, like the Rambam we were learning the other day. Yesterday the person who was sinning, the person who was going against Hashem was hated, right? And today he's loved. But there's a Rambam. It's not just mifat. And he also brings it in the halacha, right? And in the Mishnah Torah, it's not just a commentary from one rabbi. It's the biggest rabbi in the world in Jewish law. So the same approach of, let's say, Rabbi Mizrahi, Rabbi Ruben, I find it also in the approach of Rabbi Victor Miller. And also Rabbi Victor Miller was, from the Sabotka Yeshiva, was a tremendous Talmid Chacham, and I think that there's a duality here. There's a duality of, it's true that there's Tochacha, there's Musa, but at the same time, all the laws of Avat Israel, of being careful, of Lishon Hara, of treating your friends, with kindness, all those laws apply. So a person is going to be, strong with the halachot and the mitzvot. You cannot just say, oh, Tochacha, I'm going to scream and yell at people, but all these mitzvot also apply. So it's a combination. Problem today is that a lot of people or a lot of rabbis decide to remove all the Tochacha part and only focus on those, let's say, mitzvot of Ben Adam Lachaveho, right? But anyone who wants to do it the real way has to be a combination, right? Like we say, there's one hand that pushes and one way that draws nears. So this is the same concept. And let's say in the learnings of Rabbi Victor Miller, for example, I can see it all the time. He speaks, for example, about nature. He speaks about how we have to appreciate the apples, and we have to appreciate the trees.
Yeah.
We appreciate our wives. We have to be so grateful for everything we have, for our eyes. And so all those things together make it that, so there's this part of being grateful and being a good person. At the same time, there's this part of, for example, this week's parasha, he speaks about Olam Haba. There is Olam Haba, you can't forget. Because if someone forgets Chad Hashem that there's Olam Haba, then he thinks this world is over. And if this world is when everything is over. And if in this world everything's over, then it's a free for all. Do what you want. Cheat, lie, do whatever you want, because there's nothing after. So make sure you have a good life in this world. So basically it's all those ideas of Rav Victor Miller, Rav Ruben, Rav Mizrahi, all these are very important ideas, especially today, because we know it's interesting in Sichot Aran, Rabbeinu Nachman, he brings, and I'm not a Breslev at all, but I remember this from a shiur I heard was Sichot Aran. The Rabbi Nachman brings that in the fifth Sicha, I think Sichot Aran, in the fifth Sicha, what does he bring? He brings that it's very few the people who serve Hashem out of love, and everyone serves Hashem out of fear. This is not fear of the punishment. And even the Rambam brings, he says clearly, Mifuraj, a woman and the children, you teach them only through fear. And then if they become Talmid Chachamim, they learn, then you teach them through love. But at the beginning, it's I find that it's a fake, what's the right term? It's a fake idea. In everything you have consequences. For example, you have a stop, or a red light. Now, why don't you go through the red light? Because you're scared the police is going to come. Not because you're a tzaddik. Now imagine one day they put a law, no police. You're going to see all the stores looted. You're going to see no red light, no green light, no nothing. Everyone does whatever they want. So we see clearly that the fact that there's a punishment is going to make you scared. Why don't you park anywhere you want? You're going to get $100 ticket. Right? So now if you understand that there's this concept there, and then you understand also that there's the same concept in the Torah and you're not scared of it, then you're going to be able to get closer to Hashem and get far away from the sins.
Yeah, very good. Chazak, 100%. You basically sounded like a Rabbi Ruben giving a nice little lecture there. Your dad, I want to ask you real quick, if you don't mind, your dad as a rabbi, what does he think about Rabbi Ruben? Does he pretty much agree with what you're saying?
I would say my dad agrees, but my dad doesn't speak English, so he's
Okay.
Moroccan, so he only speaks French and Hebrew.
Okay.
But no, so he doesn't. But he wrote a book. It's called Ben Porat Yosef on En Hatov. Basically, how through the Pardes, so Pshad, Remez, Drash, and Sod, how the evil eye exists, and if it exists, so he goes through this question, and then he goes through where we saw that the eye made the person go through the sin. So, for example, with Adam and Chava, we see that she sinned when she looked at the tree. Right? So she looked at the tree and she saw that the tree was pleasant. So we see that all the sins are through the eyes. This is why there's this importance. Kol hakavod for Rabbi Ruben, that he puts a lot of emphasis on guarding your eyes and shmirat einayim, because this is really the main problem, main reason why people sin through their eyes. That's why the Gemara says if a person does not have eyes, right, he cannot see, he's blind, he's considered as if he's dead. So if the person is considered as if he's dead, why? Because there's no more desires. Why? Who cares if you have a beautiful house? You can live in a 1.5 in the Bronx, in next to the sewers, right? Or no, but if you have the smell also, it doesn't work. But let's say so all the things. Then let's say for a woman, she doesn't have to be beautiful. For the food, it can be just piled up, together. You don't care about presentation. For the car, who cares? So basically, all the enjoyment that we have in life, whether it's for Hashem or for bad things, are through the eyes. So hence the importance of guarding your eyes and being careful with what you see.
Right. I remember the first time I actually started taking guarding my eyes seriously many years ago. I got a little pamphlet called Holy Nation, and I didn't even get through like half of it. Are you familiar with it? It's like a little small. It just brings a whole. It's called Holy Nation. Basically, of nothing but sources of like the benefits and the good and the bad when it comes to watching your eyes, and obviously helps with the bleach and all that kind of stuff. So that was incredible. So it's definitely very important. Basically, how has Rabbi Ruben helped you? Besides, like, the guidance and stuff that he gave you, what did his lectures benefit you in any way? How else did he help you? If you can elaborate a little more on that.
Well, of course. So I had these shiurim also in the car. I had, for example, the shiur on Pirkei Avot, which is a real gem, and everyone should really, Pirkei Avot is, I would say, is like universal. For everyone, it just teaches you manners, how you should behave, how you should be. Then, of course, there's all the Torah in there of Olam Haba, of the Ain Ro'ah and Shomat. There's an eye that watches, and there's an ear that listens. Also, always, for example, you have Bet Shammai. Always, greet everyone b'sedar panim yafot. Greet everyone, with a happy countenance. Shalom v'rodef shalom, u'mekarban Torah. So all those things. So I was listening to the shiurim, and it was very, very nice, very deep, very well explained. Now, of course, everything together, helps for someone to move forward. So, for everyone watching and listening, I would like to, I highly recommend those teachings, because they're very deep and they're very, very important. Because there's sometimes you can learn Torah, but it will not make you change your character. But Pirkei Avot, it has this: you're learning Torah, but you're also going to perfect your character through how the Chachamim were behaving, right? So we have a teaching. It says like shimusha yoter milimuda, right? When you shimush, when you're close to a tzaddik, or when you're close to a Talmid Chacham, or when you see what he does, is more important than when you learn from him, because seeing the action is. We see many times in the Gemara where the Chachamim went into like. Special places and just to see how the mitzvah is being done, and then when the Rav said, "What are you doing here?" the Talmid said, "This is Torah, and I have to learn." So we see this idea. So definitely, Rabbi Ruben did a tremendous work with those shiurim, and it really helped me to listen to them and continue in my avodat Hashem.
Do you remember the first lecture that you watched from Rabbi Ruben?
Honestly, the first lecture I don't remember. I think it was clips. Before, I guess there was more clips. But I remember, it's funny because I remember the beginning, Rabbi Ruben sent me a whole like I don't know, gift package of I had a book of Cohen, and I had a lot of CDs to distribute, and a lot of Asher Yatzah. Remember, he gave them, and it's interesting because a lot of the Asher Yatzah he gave me are like across Montreal. So you see many places. It's a nice blue one with the Nusach Sfaradi. So of course this made a tremendous impact, and Hashem I was able to distribute them, and I have a good friend here. His name is David. And he also, distributes and does tremendous work, for Kiruv and bring people closer to Hashem.
Did you have any like hardships or challenges at any point in your religious life?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of hardships, and so I would say some hardships would be the wasting time, so bitul zman. The Rambam brings that, if you go and you play, the reason why you can't, let's say, gamble is because is for bitul zman, So he brings this idea also that, like even let's say you don't, I don't remember exactly the section, but even let's say in a place where it's permissible to gamble, it would be that you're not allowed because you're wasting your time. Why are you gambling when you can be learning Torah? So I guess this is a big factor, with the phones, and now the work is like it's like you never work, but you always work, So because 20 words, it depends on the client calls you, and then you have to text him, you text him back. So I guess there would be this, and then also, like Baruch Hashem, I'm very happy I don't live in Miami or in places like that because with Shvirat Einayim, like here it's much easier in Montreal because we have the winter and everything, but it's definitely something that it was difficult, but always working on it. Filter is very important. Everyone who has a smartphone, you need to have a filter. So Baruch Hashem, I have a very good filter. It's called Blocker X. But there's many different filters, and the way that you have to beat the Yetzer Hara to look 3-4 steps ahead of him. You have to know what leads you to the sin. So if you know that if you're gonna watch a movie. Well, first of all, you shouldn't watch a movie. But let's say you're going to watch a movie anyways. Now, let's say the movie, is there's a pritzut in there. And then after watching the movie, you're going to look up, what was the actress' name? And then, so from the get-go, you're not going to watch the movie. Or you're going to do things to prevent you, in the first place, from getting to that place. So one of the things is to put a filter. The other thing, very important, the Rambam brings it, is that the only place that the znut, not only znut, but the pritzut and all those ideas of irurim ra'im, all those bad thoughts that the person has, they only come from a brain that is lacking of Torah. If you have nothing in your brain, it's also not only Torah, it's Torah, Chokhmah, all those things. So if you have nothing in your brain and you're not thinking about anything important, then this is where you have time. So the advice is to make sure that you fill up your time. Always be busy with something. And the second advice would be to learn Torah, right? Because Torah is a remedy for this type of, for Yerurim Chaim and for those things. And also I wanted to add that, I always try to learn the Mishneh Torah on Teshuvah, on the Rambam on Teshuvah, because it's very important, because sometimes we forget, and this helped me to be stronger in Shmirat Einayim and things like that. Why? Because he brings a person will not he will not be able to do teshuvah when he watches things that are not modest. Why? Because in his head he's going to say, what did I do? Did I have relations with this girl? Oh, calm down. My eyes are single. So someone's going to say like that. And what's going to happen? He's going to do sense of his whole life. He's never going to do teshuvah. So the Rambam brings that this will bring a person to never do teshuvah on one sin, because he doesn't even see the problem in it. Right? And we see also, he speaks that this is the worst sin of the actual relation, because when you ruin your mind, this is the most important gift that Hashem gave you, your mind, your da'at. Right? The first bracha we say in Shemona Yisrael is a bracha on the da'at. And then also, if we see what's the difference between an animal and a human, it's because we have da'at. Hashem gave us this understanding. So this is why when we enter something, then it stays in our head, and we cannot just remove it or throw it in the garbage. And I remember a teaching of Rabbi Victor Miller on this, is that the problem is that whatever picture, whatever idea that you hear in your head, always stays there forever. It's like there's some, you can do teshuvah, whatever you want, but it's going to stay there. So you need to do more learning and more things, so you have more good pictures and more good things. But at the end, whatever you saw, it's like in the memory, even if it's in the deepest memories.
In the subconscious mind.
Exactly, subconscious. That's the right word. So it's in your subconscious, and also sometimes this is what's going to bring you to make having bad thoughts or going to do a sin, because in your subconscious you're already thinking about those things. So of course, the best, like we said, is to learn Torah and to fill up your days and to put boundaries, not to fall to this level. And that's why the Torah is beautiful. Why? Because we have, for example, yichud. You have lots of yichud, so already you have a problem. Then you cannot be with a girl in a room. Then you have lots of shomei nigiyah. You cannot shake her hand. You cannot give her a hug. All those things. So it makes it that if a person wants to make a sin, it's almost impossible. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and unfortunately, those thoughts seem to pop up at the worst time. Like when you're praying or when you're learning, and the excuses that some people come up with, it's not really excuses. It's reality. Like I remember when we first started doing the Stump the Rabbi lectures, we had a large group of teenagers. They used to come, and one of them asked, like, if I'm looking at these kind of things on a screen, it's not really the same thing as looking at it in person, right? And he asked the rabbi the question, and the justification of trying to be able to justify yourself is the you know what I'm saying? Like the excuses. There's so many excuses that basically what you said, it just makes it seem like it's okay, and then they do it for a long time, and then
Right.
especially when you have rabbis that are not really pushing for that, they're not pushing against it, I should say.
Exactly. There's it's interesting you're saying this, because there's also I don't want to say it because that's the chidush, is that there's a mitzvah to say something and there's a mitzvah to be quiet. So sometimes you can you learn Torah. I'm not going to say what's the thing here, because then I'll tell you the secret maybe after the show. But basically, there's a mitzvah sometimes to be quiet. You have to know to who you talk to. So for example, if someone's going to ask you, I don't know, a specific question on I don't know, shomei nigiyah, let's say it depends, with a goya, let's say at work. So let's say in a specific situation, there's going to be a certain answer, but you can't say everything to everyone, because the person is going to tell you, oh, this, you told me it's kasher here, or you're allowed. Oh, so here also I'm allowed, because this is how the Yitzhak works. It's going to take one answer from one rabbi in one place in a specific situation and apply it to everything. And like you said, the problem with the Yitzhak, that's his main job. His main job is to make you feel like, don't worry, it's not a problem, it's okay, it's normal. And this for every sin. He's going to tell you, oh, what's the problem you speak about? It's the truth. You're just saying the truth. You're a Knai Lashem. You're saying the truth. You're defending people by writing a bad review on, I don't know, you went to a restaurant, you wrote a bad review. You don't want people to waste their money there. There's nothing to do. You're doing a big averah. Maybe you went on a bad day. Why don't you give the guy kav zchut? So many times I think our problem is that the Yetzer Hara makes you think that you're a tzaddik by doing what you're doing, but in fact you're a big in this you're a big rasha in what you're doing.
It's the power of the mind. It's the power of the mind. It's very cool. I have a book by Rabbi Victor Miller, and I forgot what it's called, but it's a very heavy book. Like every page is like it's a very thick page. I forgot what it's called. I'll try to find it. I'll try to put it on here. It's got so many interesting things. Like one time I'm debating if I should put this in there, but I had something called vertigo, where you feel like the room is spinning. And it's like really bad. It's really bad. Like you're scared to stand because you feel like you're going to fall over. It's like you're really, really drunk, but you're not drunk. And I got this book. My wife got it for me a little while ago, and I read it, and I got to the point where it talks about this vertigo thing, and it talks about how like there's like these crystals in your ears that are, they don't flow through the certain canal, and it gets you because your balance is in your ears, yeah? So when these crystals in your ears are not balanced, it makes you feel like you're drunk, and it's incredible how science and Torah, it's all one thing. Like the science that the secular people talk about is nonsense, but there's real science behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, there's objective and subjective. And nowadays it depends what you say, you get the funding from the government. But exactly. So there's But at the end of the day, also all the science, meaning the objective science, is part of the Torah. It's meaning that the science just amplifies the complexity of creation and gives more honor and glory to Hashem. So that's interesting.
Right. Baruch Hashem, we have the Torah. What kind of goals do you have now, and what are you pursuing now? Where do you see yourself in the future? Where are you trying to get to?
So, Baruch Hashem, I have the opportunity to learn in Kollel. It's been a few years in the mornings. And now the Kollel, we just finished Isur Ve'eter. So I did one of the exams. I have to do I have to complete. But now we're learning for Smicha. And so this is on one side. And then I also learn the Rambam at nights. So with Hashem tonight, I hope it's going to be like maybe 11 o'clock. But we're learning the Rambam also, and now we're doing laws of Girushin. So I guess my goals in the future would be to complete my smicha, B'ezrat Hashem to give some shiurim. But also I don't want to work as a rabbi because I work in insurance. I have a candy business. So I think it's unfortunately with many rabbis, it's not their fault, just the situation. When you work under in a synagogue and you get paid and you're under people, so you can't always say the truth, and you can't always. And it's not because you're a bad person. Let's say you make $150,000 a year, you have 5 kids at home, and now you're gonna tell now the president. You're even gonna be embarrassed. You're gonna tell the president to don't come to shul with a car. The guy lives 2 hours away. How are you gonna tell him this? So you won't have it in you. And it's interesting because I heard something very smart this week. Is what's the difference between kindness and with niceness? Niceness is when you say nice things. For example, I say, Sonny, you have beautiful glasses, or I like your setup there. It's very nice. So this is niceness. But kindness would be if I would tell you something, even if it will be a criticism, right? Then this is kindness. Because I'm telling, for example, I see someone, he has something in his teeth. He's walking all day, or he has his suit jacket torn up, or he has a big stain here and he can't see it. So, on his shirt and he can't see it. So now, if I'm nice, I'm not going to tell him and maybe embarrass him, maybe hurt him a little bit. So, but if I'm kind, I will tell him. So this is a big difference, between, let's say, the liberal ideology, where it's all about niceness and fake love and fake all those things, all those those buzzwords, especially like reforms, like tikkun olam, all those catchy phrases that means nothing. In reality, the kindness, and I heard once I recommend, if they want to listen to this, there was once a question they asked the Lubavitcher Rebbe Zatzal. They asked him, how do you get? No, they didn't ask him, but he was teaching in Pirkei Avot. It's written, "Oav Shalom v'rodeh Shalom." Right, you have to be a student of Aaron, Oav Shalom v'rodeh Shalom, and then he brings that you have to be Mekarevan Torah. You have to bring them closer to the Torah. So what does this mean? It means that you have to tell them the truth. So sometimes you can't water down the Torah and tell them, no, don't worry, it's okay, come with the car, do this, do that. You have to tell them, maybe there's going to be, you always need to use tact. You always need to use, you can't just be, screaming. You have to be tact, you have to be nice, but at the end, the truth, you have to be kind, you have to say the truth. Because this is if you really care about them. So it's interesting. So this world is all olam hafuch. For example, once I was wearing tefillin, and it wasn't the tefillin. They weren't. I wasn't putting them properly because it was too big or it was too small. I don't remember exactly. And there was a very nice man at the synagogue. His name was Rabbi Daniel, and he came and he helped me with the tefillin. He did it for me. Now, if I was someone, I'm not talking about me, but if now let's say I'm someone who doesn't like any criticism. Because who does he think he is? I barely know the guy, and he comes and he touches my tefillin. But you see the fact. But imagine now, the Gemara says, if you don't wear tefillin properly, you never wear tefillin in your life, right? So if you never wear tefillin in your life, now they have this nice man, the tzaddik, is coming to make me a favor, to help me go out of his way, and also it's very uncomfortable to tell someone, you should do this, you should do that. Once I came to synagogue, I had a small kippah on my head. There was a very nice Chabad rabbi. He came to me and he said to me, Yedidyah, why is your kippah so small? You should have a big kippah, that you should see. And he was right. I told him, you're right. I'm sorry. Today I left the house quickly. I took a small kippah. But you see, now this rabbi, I'm not going to say, oh, who does he think he is to come and criticize me? No, he's a big. If anything, I'm very happy, and I'm honored that he would have the. It's a courage, to come and tell someone, a comment to help them improve is a beautiful thing. So it's interesting that it's all the opposite. You think that if someone doesn't tell you anything, he loves you, but it's the opposite. If he tells you something, that means he loves you and he cares about you. So like the Lubavitcher Rebbe was saying, is that to bring them closer to Torah, you have to tell them the truth, and they will accept the Torah, right? So this is a big, it's a very interesting concept. And I see also Rav Ruben, Rav Mizrahi, Rav Yedidyah, and so many Rabbanim, they speak about this idea and this concept that this is true Ahavat Yisrael, right? And this is the mitzvah. Why do you have to give tochacha to someone? Because you love him. If I don't love you, I don't care about you. Why would I even go and make a fight with you? Do what you want. Come to shul, don't come to shul. Pray, don't pray. Do Shabbat, don't keep Shabbat. What does it change in my life? I need to have an argument with you? I don't care. So it's interesting that the opposite is true. That when I say something to you, it's because I love you. I once said this to someone. And I hope he's going to start keeping Shabbat. He's not keeping Shabbat yet. But I was telling him, but he's coming closer to the Torah. So I was telling him, for me, it's very difficult to tell you that you have to keep Shabbat, right? Because he has a business that's open on Shabbat. It's difficult for me, but I only say it to you because I love you. I think that you have a lot of potential. I think that you just didn't grow up, with the proper, proper instructions on Shabbat and everything. And I see that you love Hashem and everything. So, because I love you and I care about you and I care about you Olam Haba and I care about those things, that's why I'm going out of my way to tell you something. But if I don't care, why even get involved in the conversation? And also, many times it can backfire on you. It's, who do you think you are? What, you rabbi of town? Why are you bothering me with this? Everyone, let me do what I want. I'm good with Hashem. Hashem and me, we're buddies. So it's interesting.
Right. Unfortunately, not a lot of people have that same correct ideology like you do. And they have it's the downing of the generation. Everyone has an ego. Everyone thinks they're right and everyone else is wrong, and everyone is going to do whatever they feel like they need to do. And I definitely agree with you where there's a time you should say something, a time should not. In terms of, let's say there's a certain rabbi that goes in the route or the tactic of love only. Okay? They don't talk about fear, they don't talk about anything. And there's rabbis that do talk about fear. And even if they talk about only fear and no love, there's you can't love without fear, right? You have to go to fear first. Whatever the case is, let's say they worked together because they don't like each other so much. Let's be real. The people that use the love tactic and the fear tactic, they don't like each other so much. But if they say, okay, listen, let's work together. You go with these people, I'll go with these people. Let's join forces and let's tackle all parties at the same time. We don't have that, unfortunately. It's the face of the dog, our generation, and everyone thinks they're right. But if we took that route, we would have a lot more religious people doing tshuva, and things would be a lot better for us, But this is it. What can we do?
Chazak, unfortunately, you're right, and I guess we should have more. We should have much more of this. And I would think, who I think that really personifies this idea, because it's really like something that I never hear anywhere. It's from like some shiurim of Rabbi Yedidyah. I hear, there's like a podcast from him. You can just go on. There's like, I think, Podbean or something. And there's a tzaddik there. He read all the shiurim of Rabbi Yedidyah, so you can listen in your car. And Rabbi Yedidyah was saying, when you see, a frum family, you see a woman with children, you see all those things, just bless them. Okay, he said the mitzvah of Ahavat Yisrael, you have to love every Jew. Why? Hashem loves every Jew tremendously with such immense love and intensity. So who are you not to love him? And that's how, first of all, you remove the hate from your heart. Hashem loves him. Yeah, you're right. The guy sometimes cheats. The guy sometimes, he does lishon hara here and there. But all overall, he's a firm Jew. He keeps Shabbat. He's kosher. He goes. So even with his faults, Hashem loves him with a tremendous love. So who are you to hate him? Because he stole money from you. So you have to remove the hate from your heart And not only that, to love every Jew, you have to start, blessing them. Just, you don't tell them that you bless them. Just like you see Moshe there? I bless him. You should be good. You should be healthy. You should have a good year, make good money. He said, with this, slowly, going to be able to love every Jew, but not just for example, we say Avat Yisrael, or V'ater Kamocha, but is it really everything we're talking about is an avodah in itself. It's a work in itself. And but also, just to go back, in the case of Rabbi Ruben, for me, at least, and I'm sure for thousands of people, what he did for me, at 3 a.m. I don't know anyone who would just waste with their time with a 21-year-old, and speak with me and really take the time to listen. We finished at like 4 a.m. and was there along the way, and mamash, it's this was a tremendous act of Ahavat Yisrael, and especially that it's like lishma. Because sometimes someone gives you a lot of money. Sometimes someone does good things to you, so you feel like you have a certain you owe him something. You have you have a certain debt of gratitude towards him. But when you see that there's nothing, it's just pure Ahavat Yisrael, then this is really beautiful, and this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, Shem, amazing, very interesting stuff. What kind of advice now would you give somebody that's in the process of doing tshuva? Let's say maybe they have hardships, or they have challenges, or they're dealing with certain situations, whatever it may be. What advice would you give them, and how would you advise them? How would you help them? So
I think the most important is to try to make an accounting of seeing the things that you do that are bad, and from then on to try to minimize it as much as you can, and then till you go to not doing any sins at all, and then only doing mitzvot. And I think the most important to do this is by learning Torah, and I think it's important to learn the actual text. So to get a chavruta every week, maybe once a week, you start once a week, and learning the text, try to learn the Hebrew, try to learn the even you don't learn the Hebrew, you get it in English. You get the Mishnah Berurah, they have the whole Mishnah Berurah in English, the Rosh Hashanah they have in English now. So you go there and you learn the halachot, you learn how to be properly, but it's important to open the books. Because when you open the books, on Shabbat there's no shiurim, right? And sometimes you won't always be able to have shiurim. So it's important at the same time that you listen to shiurim, also to open books and to grow in your learning of the Torah. So this would be one advice. And then the other advice, very important, and I think this is much more important than the first advice, is you have to surround yourself with good people. If you surround yourself with wicked people, Reshaim, people, they go clubbing, and they smoke grass all day, and they, I'm not saying if you smoke grass you're Rasha, but I'm saying that, the idea, they don't keep Shabbat, they don't eat kasher, they don't do anything. And now you're there, and you're at tzaddik with your kippah. What does the Rambam say about you, my friend? He said you're in a very, very bad spot. The Rambam writes that if you have to live alone your whole life in the woods or in the mountain, you have to live there your whole life alone, rather than living in a bad environment. Meaning that the environment itself is what will make your life or break your life. So now, if let's say you live, I don't know, in a terrible city, I don't know, in Vegas, then unless you're doing kibbutz over there, right? Then you better move from there. So the environment is very important, and like we say that on Rosh Hashanah we all get judged together, and this is why, as a nation, when we get judged in front of Hashem, compared to all the other nations, we're perfect, we're amazing. Wow, all of this Ahavat Yisrael, Atzala, Chaverim, all those amazing, every Rivuah B'Chesed, all those organizations that help so many Jews, and Bonei Olam, wonderful organizations, Chai Lifeline, so many wonderful things that Am Yisrael does, and so much Chesed, and so much Torah, and learning, and Mesirut Nefesh, to do mitzvot and everything, that when we come to Judgment Day on Rosh Hashanah, wow. Why? Because we're all together. That's why the Gemara says that when you pray, and the Rambam brings that when you pray during the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, then your prayer are accepted. However, all year when you pray in the Minyan, they're always accepted. Why? Because you have the zchut of the Rabbin, you have the merit of the community of a lot of people. So now, imagine you're a little, I don't know, your name is Yossi, you're no one, you're not someone so special. You just did teshuvah. Well, you're very special, but you think that you're not very special. Who am I? Just did teshuvah, trying. So now you go in a community that people are shomrei Torah mitzvot. They fear Hashem. They learn. They pray. They have a good from community, religious community, and you pray there and you go there. So now your schut will be with them. And then, even if now, let's say you're the lowest of all of them, it doesn't matter. You're part of that group. So if you're going to move in the right environment, this will definitely push you to become better and also to be with like-minded people. When all your friends are going to be people who learn Torah, who go to synagogue, so now this is what's going to make you, the Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Shabbat, holidays, Suda Shishit, Shiur. So all those things will make you that you're going to get closer to Hashem. So environment and learning Torah would be my two main advice. And also today was interesting. I was learning in Gemara in Masechet Brachot. It was a teaching of the rabbis of Yavne. What do they teach? They say they are a creature, and the Amei Haaretz who don't learn Torah, they're also creatures of Hashem, right? They're creatures who learn Torah, and they're creatures who don't learn Torah. They work. Then they say, we are a creature, we work in the city, meaning that we learn Torah in the city, and they work in the fields. We like our job, and they like their job. Meaning that we don't want to go and work in the fields, meaning we want to continue learning Torah, and they don't want to learn Torah and waste their time with Torah. They want to continue working. Why? Because they think that, who am I? I don't know. I barely know how to read. I'm going to start learning. No, my friend, you're someone very important. You are very chashuv. Why? Because even if you don't learn a lot, you learn the stories of Baba Sali, for example, that's son. You learn the biographies, or you learn, I don't know, Aleph Bet. Yes? And then there's the other guy, he's doing Diukim, Tosfot, Rashba, Rashi, and then he's looking, in the Zohar and making a whole pilpul and a whole teshuvah, something 45 pages. You and him, as long as you have the right intention towards Hashem, you both get the same reward. Meaning that, in this world, we don't care about your efforts. But Hashem cares about your efforts. Like we say, Lefum tzara agra. So according to your efforts is a reward. So, don't get discouraged. Continue in your avodat Hashem. And B'ezrat Hashem, you're going to, whatever you do is already very good. But the more that you do, the better. But meaning that even if you're not going to get to this level of, being a huge Talmid Chacham, this is not what's the most important. The most important is the proper intention and the want and the will to get closer to Hashem.
I remember I was reading Mesilat Yesharim many years ago. For the first time, I got to the last chapter Kedusha, right? Anyways, in the last chapter, it talks about how someone can reach Ruach HaKodesh. And you would think somebody that reaches Ruach HaKodesh, he sits there and learns 22 hours a day, he does everything, he has all the kavanot, so on and so forth. It said no. He doesn't have to be that way. A guy can be a normal person. He can work a regular job. He can be a family man, so on and so forth. As long as he has the right mentality and the right midot and all the basic foundation done, he can still reach that same level. So that was very inspiring. And I think that goes hand in hand with what you were saying just now, So it gave that push for me, that influence to keep going strong.
It's interesting what you're saying is that, like 2 weeks ago, Rabbi Ruben was saying that you just do things lishma. You're going to eat. Even if you want to eat, you want to have your steak, you want to have all this, it's okay. But just fake it. Fake it until you make it. Fake it, lishma. I need to eat because I need to be strong. But then your whole day you become a big tzaddik, because all day is really sacrificing yourself for Hashem.
Okay, so what's your opinion, or what do you think about Hashgacha Pratit?
So I think that's a great question, and I think Hashgacha Pratit is something really incredible, because the more you have Emunah in Hashem, the more you have Bidachon in Hashem, the more Hashem gets involved in your life, and the more He helps you in your life, and you can see it in your life. So, an example today, I was saying, unfortunately, I don't remember the Rav. I have to check but I know it's verified story. They asked the grandson, they asked him, tell me something about your grandfather that no one knows. And he said, I'll tell you something. We were in the car, No, we were on our way to go to the kotel, and my grandfather only had 10 shekel in his pocket. And now they're together, and his grandfather calls a taxi. So they go inside the taxi, and now the grandson is doing, Shir HaMa'alot, he's praying to Hashem. He's like, the taxi is 20 shekel. How is it that we're going to go and he only has 10 shekel? What a chilul Hashem. Already with the, traditional or more like the chilonim, the chilonim, it's not the best relations, with the charedim. How is it, we're going to get to the kotel, he doesn't have the money, what a busha. So the grandson, the whole time, he's praying to Hashem, or he's going to get the embarrassment of his life. The grandfather, they're on the way, someone stops the taxi. Hey, where are you going? Oh, I want to go to the kotel. The taxi driver asks the Rabbi, tells him, is it okay we had someone? Then you split the bill, 10-10. Okay, no problem. And then they split the bill. So he said, my grandfather, this was every day. Every day you can see the Ashgacha Pratit. And even sometimes I can see in my life also some Ashgacha. Everyone has Ashgacha Pratit in his life. Meaning, what is Ashgacha Pratit? Meaning that Hashem set it up that for sure it's Hashem that said it, like you understand. No, it's not that you understand. There's Ashgacha Pratit all the time. But the level of Ashgacha Pratit depends on your closeness with Hashem and Emunah and Bitachon. But at the same time, sometimes you have the ability to see the Ashgacha Pratit, how something so impossible would happens. So if you want, I can share with you a little quick story with Ashgacha Pratit.
Sure.
I was a teacher in a Hasidic school. I was teaching them English, math, because they needed to have some secular studies. So they hired me because we also speak French. So they hired me to go and help them out. So I was working there. And then 2-3 years later, I couldn't go back. So I told the boss, I'm not coming back this year. Then comes October. We're supposed to. Then the boss calls me up on a Thursday. He tells me, one teacher quit. Can you please come? I told him, look, if I come, I can only come for like 2 weeks, something like that. I can't. I have other things. I have a candy business. I have insurance. I can't focus on this now. Then he tells me, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to confirm the job for you. So Friday morning he calls me, he tells me, Yedidyah, you have the job. So the next 2-3 weeks you're going to be working. Okay, wonderful. Like it's good, I'm going to make some money, but I don't have to be there the whole year. Then Sunday, I get a message from I don't know, maybe you know him, Yishai. Yishai is now in Montreal. Yishai, he sends me out of the blue, he sends me an invitation to a shiur. So I see the invitation, and I'm like, I'm thinking, which person in the whole world do I know that there's a chance it's going to come? But not that there's there's a high chance, and I think I think he will come. So I think, and I sent it to one person. So I sent it to this guy, and now this guy messages, and then he texts me. He said, "Oh, I'm busy tonight. I can't come." Then I text him back. Don't worry, it's not tonight. It's Tuesday. Then he tells me, by the way, and I'm one of the only guys he's going to be comfortable to say this to. He said, by the way, I don't have a job for 2 months. I have no money. I have, kids at home. If you find anything, it will be great. I call up the boss of the Jewish school. I tell him, look, I have a friend. He's very good. You can trust him. He's wonderful. He has kids. He really needs the job. He tells me, Yedidyah, I have 3 other people who were waiting for the job. But I told him I can't because I'm going to give you the job. And he said, my whole thing was that I wanted you to, fall in love with the kids again. And you come for the whole year. That was my plan. It wasn't the 2 weeks. It was my plan. But he tells me, look, if you think that this guy's good and you recommend him, okay, and we're good to go. What happens? The guy, the principal calls my friend. My friend answers the phone. And they book an appointment. Monday morning, they meet. Monday, the guy has a job.
Wow.
And he was there for, I think 2-3 years. I don't know if he's going back now, but then he had a job right away, and it was very good pay. And Baruch Hashem, it was mamash ashgacha pratit, meaning that Hashem gave me the job on Friday to hold it for him. And also, what's crazy is that the Tuesday I didn't go to the shiur. Why? Because I think it was either my aunt's yurtzeit. So I didn't, either I forgot or I didn't know that it was my aunt's yurtzeit. I think I didn't know that it was my aunt's yurtzeit. And like my family were organized like a seudah for her. And so if I remembered, if I knew, I would not invite him to the shiur, which was Tuesday. So it's also crazy I invited him because, again, he didn't go and I didn't go to the shiur. But meaning that this shiur helped the situation. And then, like 2-3 weeks later, I told him, this is crazy. Like, what are the odds? You're asking for a job on Sunday at 5:45 p.m. Monday morning, you have a job. Where do you see this in the history of the world? So then I asked him, what happened before? And I think, this is only me. Maybe there's other reasons, but for me, what I take from it, I think this is the reason why he got the job. He said he was working with someone during Corona to make masks and all types of like creams, like soaps, for washing hands and everything, gloves. And the guy was making a lot of money. And then the last 5 months, he was not making $1. It was like when Corona died out. And after 2-3 months he's working there, he sees the guy's not making any money, and he can't stand taking money from another Jew when this Jew is suffering to pay him. Because now he's going to the office. So he told his boss, he said, look, I'm not going to work for you anymore. So he cared about this other Jew that's paying him for doing nothing. And he said, I don't care, I have kids, I can't take your money. And then that's why for 2 months he didn't have a job. He could have said, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm staying with him. That's the way of the world. It's too bad for you, but I need a paycheck. So then I told them, this is why you got the job. Because, the same way you sacrifice yourself, for another Jew, so Hashem sets up the path for you, but Hashem, that you should be successful. So Baruch Hashem, I was zocheh to see a Hashgacha Pratit incredible that so I just wanted to share this with you.
Wow. Right? Unbelievable. I think Chavot Levavot talks about how sometimes, well, actually all the time, the way Hashem works is he does things in steps. Like he'll make something happen here, for it to happen here and happen here. And then when everything is done, like you just explained to us, you'll see, oh, this is why this happened. All those things happen for this to happen now. So that's very cool. A very cool story. Thank you for sharing with us.
We were once at a Shabbat table. A friend is there, and there's this woman with her daughter. And basically, there's a whole heated argument about public schools, Jewish schools, where should you send your kids. So back and forth. And then it turned out that she didn't want to send her kid to a Jewish school because it was too expensive. And a lot of people were arguing, you're right, Jewish school is too expensive, send it to public, it's free. And then the friend, he really felt bad for this girl. And he said, well, and it was a real it was like I wouldn't say it was like a fight, a fight with words, but it was like a fight. A few weeks later, my friend goes on URA. So it's a Kiruv organization. They have a lot of good programs like Torah Mates. But Hashem, we're going to have a Torah Mate in 1 minute. But Hashem, after this podcast. But what happens is he buys a ticket, and the guy doesn't have kids, and he sees all the prices. He sees 36,000, 100,000, 18,000. So he buys a lot of prizes, and then there's one prize he sees tuition, and he said, you know what? If in his head, if I win it, it'll be for this girl. He doesn't have kids, doesn't have any people sending to school. A few months later, in May, turns out he was the big winner. And he wins, and he won $9,000 in the auction. Then he was able to meet with the school, and then the girl was able to go to a Jewish school for 2 years. And Zat Hashem, we hope that it made an impact. But just what are the odds that this guy, out of hundreds of thousands of people with no kids, with no nothing, went and bought one ticket and won $9,000 US to send this Jewish girl to school, and she did go to Jewish school for 2 years. So, Mamash, this was another example of Hashgacha Pratit that you have to be blind, or you have to be I don't know what you have to be, but with that, Hashem is definitely part of our lives, not only in an idea, but in a reality. Every day you can see Hashem in your life, and you just have to open your eyes and you have to look for it. And so this is my message to you, that get closer to Hashem, learn more Torah, get in a good environment, and appreciate and be grateful to all the kindnesses and all the good things that Hashem give you every day.
Absolutely. It's everywhere, and it's only going to be aware to us if we actually look for it and see it. It happens to us every day, every situation. Hashem is everywhere, and that's how He runs His world. So I thank you, Yedidyah, for joining us and taking your time and sharing all these cool stories with us. Very influencing, very cool, and we really appreciate your time. And without a doubt, like I tell everybody, it's going to help somebody do tshuva. It's going to help somebody better themselves, and we thank you for participating and helping us continue this podcast project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonny, for having me. Thank you for Bezrat Hashem, and thank you for Rabbi Ruben for all the Mesirut Nefesh and the hard work that he does, to bring thousands of Jews back to the Torah. So thank you, and Chazak u'Baruch. Keep up the good work.
All right, thanks. Take care. A very special thank you to all our amazing guests who show real Ahavat Yisrael by taking the time out of their busy schedules and sharing their ups and downs with us, all for the sake of Am Yisrael. May Hashem continue to bless you 1,000-fold. If you enjoyed this video, you can find more of these podcasts on our website at www.bezrathashem.org. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel to hear more highly influencing lectures and stories like the one you heard here today. Thank you for watching, and Bezrat Hashem, may we all have the merit to return to Hashem.